Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Grace, Peace, and Balance radio show with Gabi Abdelgadir. And today I have a special guest for you that I happen to have watched her speak, and she touched my heart. And I had to invite her to my podcast. Her name is Deb Timmerman. And here is her bio. She has a huge bio, but I'm going to read for you people, just a short one, and I will be posting her bio on the podcast. There is an echo going on, Deb. There is an echo. I don't know where it's coming from. Yeah, so Deb Timmerman, she's a registered nurse, a chief resilience officer for Deb Timmerman and Associates, LLC, a company helping people prepare for, recover from, and adapt in the face of stress, challenge, or adversity. She specializes in tools and strategies for rapid stress relief, burnout prevention, navigating change, preventing and thriving after childhood. This is a great subject. She is a master trainer for MIACE, is that how I say it, initiative, an organization focused on raising awareness about the impact of toxic stress during critical development periods on physical, emotional, and mental health throughout the lifespan, and is the education chair of the Barry County Trauma-Informed Workgroup, a coalition of healthcare providers, educators, and community agencies seeking to improve the health of county citizens. Deb is an independent licensed associate Stress Master International and advisory team for Stress Master International coaching. Oh my goodness. This is just putting it in short. Welcome to my podcast, Deb.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Gabi.
Oh my God, I can't wait. Let's talk about how did you get into, you are a registered nurse.
I am.
So how did you get into all this work about stress and the childhood stress and all that people actually don't? You talk a lot about childhood stress. Let's talk about that. How did you get into that? What was the reason that pushed you or like empowered you to do that kind of work?
Well, my nursing job was to lead a team of nurses and interdisciplinary team of physicians, social workers within, I've done it for 2 organizations, and always nurses are in a very high stress, same with physicians, high stress environment, always, because we're dealing with life and death decisions, having to be really quick, lots of workload challenges. And I originally started taking classes so that I could teach and train my nurses on stress recovery. And long story short, through some of the courses I took, recognized that it wasn't the nurses that I needed to worry about, it was myself, because I was that child who grew up with lots of household dysfunction. Oh. And we get our stress lens, or it develops from our environment and the way we adapt to the environment that we're raised in part, and some with how our genes express themselves through that environment. And what I realized was if I took care of myself first and modeled good practices, the team fell into line. And along the way, happened to go to a holistic nurses conference and hear about adverse childhood experiences. And it was as if someone gave me the missing puzzle piece to understand my life. So in the ACEs realm, we always sort of think about what's wrong with a child. Like, why can't a child sit down and behave? And why do they have trouble in school? What's wrong with that kid? But we never really think about what happened to that child to influence brain development. And is that the reason why that person has issues? So we have this issue of what society expects versus what a child's capable of doing because of his or her biology and how he developed.
Oh, wow. So what tools do you use to release the stress?
So I am a big fan of the HeartMath family tool. So I've done many things, mindfulness and meditation. I teach Tai Chi.
Oh, you do? You teach Tai Chi?
I do Tai Chi Easy, yes.
Oh my goodness, that's one thing I would love to do. I haven't done it yet. Okay.
Oh, it's
Go
so
ahead.
fun. But I really love the HeartMath family of tools because the brain actually receives more information from the heart than the heart sends to the brain. And when we have a stress reaction, it mobilizes over 1,400 chemical reactions in our body. So lots of different neurotransmitters. And if we can use our breath in a certain way, we can influence the way our brain receives that information and basically shift it from those chemical producing reactive kind of spaces to regenerative chemical producing, helping us get into this space of what we call coherence, so that we can dial that down, helping our nervous system reset.
Oh, wow, that's amazing. I think you should do a webinar to teach us all these things. And then how do you teach kids though? Like if you see kids are misbehaving or they're acting up, like you said, how do you teach kids? What do you teach kids though? You should teach the parents and the teachers first, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what I've come to realize. So when I first started working with families, I worked more with the kids. If that wasn't happening in the household or the parents couldn't direct them, kids need direction and coaching.
Yeah.
And so now I work more with parents, teachers, people who work with kids to teach them how to recognize stress in themselves. Once you get really in tune to your stress reactions, you can understand and be much more aware of what others are going through. And for kids, if we're modeling that behavior, they learn it very easily. And that's what I love about the HeartMath family of tools, because we use the same kind of breathing all along the lifespan, but we can describe it differently. So I might tell a child to imagine sunshine coming in and out of their heart and using that as a breath or blowing bubbles. Whereas an adult, I would just use adult language, guide them that way.
Oh my goodness, that is so interesting. Okay, so how do you deal with people with mental health, like people who are depressed and they're going through anxiety? Do you deal with those kind of situations?
Yeah, so what we know about stress is that it shows up in our body in a variety of ways, and we have stress signs and symptoms all the time. So we might feel nervous inside, we might not be able to sleep, maybe our belly has issues. So by teaching people to pay attention to when those symptoms and signs come up, and then teaching the breathing tools, usually we wait until we're so worked up and then we want to try to calm down. But if we get very connected to the body and we listen to the body's warning signs, we can intervene earlier and help change those chemicals. So a lot of what I do in terms of mental health with anxiety and those types of things is really teaching people to connect to their body, teaching them all these different tools. And they usually find one or two that resonate with them. And those are their go-to. And if you do them regularly, you start to notice that you widen the window of tolerance and you're not as reactive. So over time, they're encouraged to practice because they feel better.
Oh, wow. That is amazing, because people deal with stress differently. Some people, they show it with anger. They get angry and they lash out at people if they're stressed out. There are people, for me personally, I am the type who goes completely quiet when I'm stressed out. I completely shut out. And then all it takes is like one song or one phone call from an old friend or anything like that. I start bawling my eyes out, and then I feel a lot better after that. But so people deal with stress differently. And how about I was just thinking, when we're talking about kids and parents, there are a lot of single parents around. Some of them, they're raising 3 kids, 4 kids, all on their own with no support. Can you imagine the stress they go through? And it's very difficult. You're working and you're dealing with 3, 4 kids on your own and trying to catch up with everybody. So I don't think there is enough time for a single mom most of the time, especially if she's working full time and then comes home, she has to cook, she has to check, she doesn't have time. So how do we help those kind of women? There are men too who are single fathers, not only women, like, yeah.
Yes, so the newest research is really all about managing energy. So typically, we don't carve out any time for ourselves, and we push away those signs and symptoms that really maybe start talking to us at 9 a.m. And it might be 9 p.m. before we're able to go, oh, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
They fall into bed, they can't sleep because they're still wired. So really teaching them to manage energy throughout the day. So every time we react to a stressor, it takes away energy from what I'll call our internal battery or our energy reserves. And if you think of a bucket with lots of holes and that energy is always leaking out, what are we going to have left at the end of the day?
Nothing.
So another good analogy for that is a cell phone battery. When our cell phone battery starts to get to 50%, we're starting to freak out and we're looking for a plug to plug it in. Well, doing those breathing techniques, even for really short times during the day, can help stop those energy reserves. And what a mom needs when she goes home is still energy to show up for that child. And maybe now is even helping with homework or homeschooling. So that piece about energy management can be a big lifesaver for them because they're not so drained and not so, that's where we get burnt out from. So we all eat, we all go to the bathroom. Sometimes it's as simple as working those little breathing skills or certain types of exercises in through the day in little increments so that at the end of the day, they have something left over.
Yeah. So I was a single mom, my son since the age of 8. I raised him by myself. He's 21 now, but all these years. But what I did was I made sure when I get home, I would pick him up, like at least up until the age of 9. He had to go to daycare after school because I won't be able to catch him or to be able to come home on time from work. And yeah, we would sit down, we would have a snack first because it's too early for dinner at the time. And then I would ask him to start his homework and I'll prepare dinner. Normally, I am good at preparing stuff for the next 2-3 days. So I would prepare dinner, then sit down, see his homework, check it out. He was good anyway, but we'll do that. We'll eat, and then it's bath time, and then it's bedtime. We always early because like I wake up at 5 a.m. in the morning, even up until today as we speak, I'm a morning person. And so I am in bed, so we read together, he's out, and then I go to my bed with a book. Trust me, like I don't even read 5 pages. I am so exhausted by that time. Yeah, so yeah, most of the time, sometimes I would just go back to the kitchen and prepare what I will take for lunch for me and what I should pack for him. But yeah, I think by 9 o'clock, I am like, my energy level is like 0. Imagine from 5 a.m. I am on the go. So can you imagine for those who have 3 kids, 4 kids? I only had 1, and that was exhausting.
Yeah, it's exhausting. You know, and another thing I would say for those folks who are single raising a child or children by themselves, find your tribe, find the women that you can share cooking with. Maybe, you know, you can do lots of different strategies. And it feels so good to be connected and have that help and know that you've got, someone's got your back.
Yeah.
There
are so many good people out there. Yeah.
There are.
Yeah. Oh my goodness gracious. So what do you advise like for teens? A lot of teens are going through a lot of stress right now, where they always have been, but I think it's since last year, especially, I noticed that it's multiplied, the lockdowns, the not being able to spend time with your friends or go outside, do whatever you want to do, like play games and all that stuff. So I know that it doesn't affect everywhere, but for some of us, it is affecting everybody. So for those who are really stressed out and really feeling lonely and depressed, what would you advise them?
Well, I think that every teen has something that they usually love to do. Some like music, some like games, some like, you know, just figuring out what that is and playing to those strengths. So I noticed today when I was flipping through my Facebook that there was a friend who posted something about her son who was in jazz band. So they found some different ways around it. They practiced on Zoom. They did all kinds of creative things. Finding a way to be creative, to engage in what you love, is a great buffer. And for adults, not discounting that behavior, because that behavior has meaning. And sometimes adults will sit there and judge them, or like they're, I mean, they don't even realize they're doing it, but we're feeding into that. So if you can play to their strengths, that's great. And then as a family, or as a unit of folks that are living together, doing things together that help reduce stress, playing games, doing crafts or art, maybe doing some mindfulness, or playing yoga, or not playing yoga, but doing yoga as a family, or listening to a guided meditation. Sometimes they just don't know those things are out there, and that they are ways that they can relieve stress. So as an adult, you have to be kind of one step ahead. And I'm a big fan in modeling behavior. If you want them to do something, you can't push them into it, but if they see you doing it, they're much more likely to join in.
Yeah, yeah. There was an article that I read that because of the pandemic, a lot of families for the first time in their life last year going on are spending more time with their kids, because the kids are homeschooled now. They're like studying online, a lot of them. And the parents are working from home. If not both parents, at least one of them is working from home. They're spending more, they're seeing their kids more now than they ever. So there is the downside and there is the upside of what's going on in this thing. Yeah. So yeah, and apparently there is even the teens, they have a clubhouse now that they can spend time and talk right now.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that's a good thing or a not good thing.
I know. I'm not fond of. Yeah, I'm not fond of it either, because I don't know what on earth they're talking about. Like, I don't know. Like, you can't ask like a 21-year-old what are you gonna say to him. Like, yeah, but I could hear him laugh a lot. I could hear him argue. Yeah, they have that. But yeah, for me, like, luckily my son produces music, so that is his thing. And he calls me after he finishes one, and I sit down and listen and things like that. But it's really hard for them not to spend time with their friends, and not to be able to go out and play games, not to go out and, have dinner somewhere or like lunch somewhere. It's very tough.
Yeah, and depending on how locked down you are, even getting outside, but if you can get outside and take a walk or do some physical movement, maybe a basketball hoop outside or something, they need to move too. They can't just sit all day. So you have to be really creative about that.
Yeah, that is that. But for us, like indoors and outdoors is closed. So we're on a complete, at least for now, until May the 20th, they told us like we're closed completely, stay at home, except for grocery and pharmacy or doctor. So it is tough. So that's a great advice to spend time and play games. And a lot of entrepreneurs also, they work late hours, they may not have that much time to play games with their kids and their schooling, but it's a tough time. So how do we fit in decluttering and stress on this conversation?
So environmental factors, as you know, are huge in terms of how it makes you feel. It can be super overwhelming to be in a place that's super cluttered. Yep. My recommendation is doing something small every day and having a routine that you stick to, not trying to accomplish everything at once, but just small, and recognizing that there are things sometimes that you are very emotionally attached to.
Yeah.
That, it's not the thing, it's the emotion. Yeah. That you're attached to, and just recognizing that can be an issue is big. And my recommendation is always find somebody to help you through it. Yeah. It's so much easier if you have someone who can coach you through it and talk you through it and explore. So why is that so meaningful to you? And
Yeah.
Makes it a lot less painful and a lot less stressful.
Yeah, I think people need to understand that everything we carry, we're all energy. Everything we carry in our space has an energy. So like I say always to my clients, everything we carry in our space has an energy. It could be a good energy. It could be bad energy, negative energy. It could also have a neutral energy. So we need to check on those and get rid of anything that gives us negative emotion, that puts us in bad memories, for example, or things like that. Based on feng shui, also positioning, how you sit and how you do that. We'll talk about that in my webinar. But yeah, I think getting rid of stuff that you don't use, you don't need, because it really does add to stress. Okay, so what is one thing you want to advise our listeners about stress, about mental health, and how to deal with them? What's your advice?
Well, I think the one advice that I always give people is we all need some stress in life to help us grow and reach our full potential.
Yes.
Too much isn't good, and knowing what your stress sweet spot is really important, and being able to see that feedback that I talked about as information, and then using that information to have a plan of attack. It is an active process. Stress management and keeping yourself mentally healthy is an active process. That's not going to happen without you doing some things and taking control and having a plan. You can't control life and the ups and downs and the crazy things that happen, but if you know how to calm your nervous system, you can control how you respond.
Mm-hmm.
It just takes practice. Just like keeping yourself organized, you just need a plan, you need some tools, and you need to practice. And not to try to fix everything at one time.
Yeah.
Start small, nice small daily habits, nice small steps lead to lifestyle changes that then become something you can integrate, not something you have to do.
Yeah. And then the other thing is for parents that you also need a break. Like you need to make time for you, even if it's half an hour a day, just that silent moment just for you. Just go out for a walk by yourself, like, or sit by yourself. Like always, I think parents normally, it's all about kids. It's all about this. So they need, I was one of those people. So I forgot myself for many years in the process, right? So you need to take care of you to be able to take care of your kids or your elderly parents or whoever you want to take care of. So that's
Absolutely. And I have on my website, if you go to lessstressinlife.com, there's a free gift download, and there are 5 steps in there, along with little audios that can help you get started. Little breathing exercises, a little energy map to help you decide when you need to intervene, just some ideas to get you thinking about what's one small change that I could make today to make tomorrow better. And number 5 is put your own oxygen mask on first. You're very right. Because if we don't take care of ourselves, we can't show up and be present for anyone else.
Absolutely. That is amazing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all your credentials and all your social media links and your website on my podcast and on my YouTube channel, so that anybody wants to get in touch with you. I bet a lot of people are struggling. So I am sure you're going to help a lot of people. And I'm so glad I met you, and I'm so glad that we are doing this. And I am so blessed that we have people like you to help all those who are struggling.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me and for caring about this subject.
Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And then, okay, so let's have fun now. I have 2 questions that I ask everybody I interview.
Okay.
If you had to visit 3 countries before you die, only 3, what would they be? Which countries would they be? Before you die, 3 countries that you haven't visited already.
Well, I have never been to Europe, and I would love to do that.
Okay, where in Europe though? Where?
I want to go to Italy.
Okay.
And I would love to go to Australia.
Okay.
And I would love to go to Iceland.
Okay, 3. Okay, got it. Good for you. Yeah, Australia is on my list too, not Iceland, but Australia I would love to go to one day as well. But yeah, if you have one wish that you would love to fulfill before you die, one wish, one dream that you would love to fulfill before you die, what would it be?
I wish that everyone were more trauma informed and that they understood that most people are showing up as best they can in the present moment because of their past and their background and the skills they have. And that we could come together and lift them up and stop asking what's wrong with them, talking behind their back and saying, what happened to them and how can I help them be successful?
Oh my goodness, that was very powerful. My goodness, thank you so much. That was amazing. Okay, so it was really good to have you, and I'm sure we will do this sometime again. And so glad you joined me, and I'm so happy we did this short interview together. I hope everybody will benefit from it.
Thank you so much, Gabby.
You're welcome. Okay, thank you everybody, and wishing you grace, peace, and balance. Stay safe. Take care.